So this past week, I had a conversation with my friend Jen, and she came out and asked me publicly how I hire people for my team. And I was like, oh, there was a part of me that actually wanted to pretend like I had this robust system and this methodology. But the truth of the matter between me and you is I don't have that system because I'm actually a really private person. I'm very open on social media, but when it comes to my business, I'm definitely private. The way that I have built my team up until this point has been through one way only, and that has been through constant conversations. I get inquiries in my inbox every week from a lot of people saying, are you hiring? Can you hire me? I'm looking for a job. It's just, I don't know you, and you're a stranger coming in to my world, and you're asking to babysit my baby, and my baby is my business, and I ain't handing over my baby to a stranger. So the constant conversations then happen from there. There are two types of people. The minute I say no, I am not hiring right now. There's a group of people, the vast majority, that walk away and say, okay, it wasn't meant to be. And then there's a small group of people who say, okay, challenge accepted. And to those people, they have shown up consistently in my inbox on social media. And I'm about to introduce you to my business manager, and we're going to talk about her experience as she basically conversed her way on into my business. And I want you to use it as a point of clarification. So number one, if you're looking for people to hire in your business, perhaps follow this system. Or number two, perhaps you want to work in somebody else's business and you could follow the system. So two perspectives of how I think team building for a small business owner is going to be the most effective. So this is Nikki, our business manager, and Nikki is from Phoenix, Arizona, but she's actually in California because we are hosting a social curator event this weekend. We flew her in. Our videographer is going to be here. I was like, I'm getting you on camera, surprise! Nikki and I meet online. I taught an online class, July 2017. I didn't actually bring Nikki onto my team until February 2018. That is 7 months of constant conversations. So I would love for Nikki to define her methodology of constant conversations, because I do believe that it wasn't just with Nikki, but the rest of my team has kind of fallen into this pattern because it resonates with me. So
I basically would just email, DM, and send Jasmine private messages. Every time I saw an opportunity for growth or just wanted to give her some insight, I would email it to her and her team. And I just tried to show up as much as I could.
I do Facebook Lives every week, and she would join the Facebook Lives and she would comment. And then I would do an Instagram Live and she would join the Instagram Live and she would comment. And then a couple weeks of watching this, she sent me an email and she had said, hey Jasmine, I noticed that you get these 3 questions asked every single Facebook Live. What if you did a video on these 3 questions all the time that you can point people back to? And I remember reading this email being like, excuse me, don't you know I know how to run my business? And I was just like, dang it, she's right. And we got that content and we made a video based on those 3 questions. Our videographer will probably insert a little bit of that footage right about now. There's this girl who consistently watches my Facebook Lives every week.
Okay.
And so she emailed me and she says, it seems like a lot of people are asking the same question. So you spend a lot of the Facebook Lives to people who watch regularly that you're saying the same thing, but these are commonly asked questions. She's like, would you ever make a video of FAQs that during the live you could just link to it and you can always have a resource? I thought that was a really great idea. Okay, now when it comes down to other things, is that Nikki did not email me every week or DM me every week like, hey, I'm looking for a job, hey, I'm looking for this. She had kind of put her feelers out and said, hey, Jasmine, I see gaps in your business. But she did it polite. She said, here's how I can help you. It was never with expectation. So if somebody, what is advice for somebody who wants to work with somebody else and says, I like what they're doing, I maybe want to join their team, like what would you do? What would you say based on like how our paths have crossed?
I tried to give Jasmine little samples of the services that I provided without ever asking for anything. So I would show her what I could do for her business without ever asking her to bring me onto her business. It was just basically giving you samples.
Ugh, so good. So Nikki joined Social Curator. The very first webinar I ever had for Social Curator, Nikki never buys anything online. I converted this girl. I converted her. And since then, she had said, as a community member, this is what would help me and having a community. And I was always like, no, we're never having a Facebook group. We're never having a Facebook group. And she's like, I really think it would be a good idea. And I said, we're never having a Facebook group. And this is about the time that our videographer is going to insert another video that he and I recorded where I'm like, hey guys, I have a Facebook group. This past week, I've just had all these mixed feelings because I know what my community wants for Social Curator. They keep on asking for a Facebook group. And I was like, no, I support. And after a bunch of people were like, heck yes, do it. Then I knew it was time to create a Facebook group for our Social Curator members. So for those of you who don't know, Nikki, when it came time for me to make the decision to create the group, my husband, my business partner said, who are we gonna bring in to manage that group? And I was like, Nikki. It wasn't even a thing. I emailed her, she was totally down. She answered yes before we even talked about compensation. She answered yes before she knew how many hours it was gonna be. So that is how Constant Conversations has transpired. But if you are paying very special attention, I introduced Nikki as my business manager. But the conversation we just had was I said, I hired her as my community manager. I hired her in late February 2018. So what has happened between February 2018 to where we are today? Nikki basically came into my business as community manager, and the more she got to know me, she was like, hey, I really think that you could use this in your business. And oh, hey, I think you can use this in your business. And slowly but surely, she built my trust. And I feel like as a business owner, I hired her for one small component and she did such a great job. And the community is seriously I'm so proud of the community that we have created. She facilitates conversations, she empowers other people, but it's because she's taking my vision and putting it on a one-to-one basis. And as a business owner, that made me feel like she cared about people as much as I care about my people. And so the more projects came, the more Nikki stepped up and we decided to expand her role in our business.
So I knew that I wanted to work with Jasmine because of the vision that she had for her business, the energy, just the way that she teaches people and how committed she is. And the thing that drew me to her was her authenticity. So if there's other people that are that drawn to someone that they know that they want to work with them, I have some tips that I want to share with you guys. The first tip would be build trust. Like Jasmine mentioned, I regularly communicated with her and I never had the expectation that she would bring me on board right away. I didn't even know if she'd have a job or a position for me. I just wanted to build that relationship.
So for people who are watching and they wonder, okay, when you say build trust, like how? I believe that building trust comes with consistency. Nikki showed up in my inbox, in my DMs, showing up on lives. That's how you build trust.
Tip number 2 would be to give insight. I saw little gaps in Jasmine's business that I was able to not just pose those problems, but I was able to come up with solutions for her as well.
Oh, good Lord. When she gives solutions, as a team member, but before she was a team member, when she would just watch stuff, she would give insights, she would find gaps, but she didn't expect anything in return. Oftentimes, people hit me up all the time, be like, hey, let me proofread your blog post. Like, I'm literally queen of typos. Like, let me proofread your blog post at a discounted rate. Or let me put together your keynote at, as long as you give me a shout out. And it's kind of like when you give insights without expecting anything, you build trust over time, and that's how you build a team.
Tip number 3 would be don't ask how you can help. You just have to find your place of power and be able to deliver that to that person.
Okay, so from an employer's perspective or like a team leader perspective, when people email me and they ask, like, what can I do for you? And I'm like, well, I have so many things on my plate all the time that if I thought about what people can do, that's half the battle. If you can come to me and say, this is a gap that I see and here's how I could fill it, it's like, wow, that's how you offer value from your place of power. I'm gonna go back to where I started and I'm not gonna fake the funk. I do not have a perfect hiring system, but I can say that I'm actively working on building one based on the lessons that I learned with Nikki, based on the lessons that I learned with my other amazing team members. We're building out this system and that comes from number 1, finding gaps. Number 2, offering consistency. And number 3, expecting nothing in return. So for the people who are on my team, starting with Nikki and Ari and Tammy and JD and Jeremy and Kim and the future team members, nothing but love for you all. Special shout out to my videographer who's been with me for a minute. And for those of you guys who want to work with other people, put your name, put your hustle, put your passion on the line, and people will see it.